Hey, just to let you know what I mean by spoiler-free. A lot of the joy in Subnautica lies in exploring an alien planet and discovering the creatures that inhabit it. I don't want to ruin that for you, so I'll only be showing footage in the first 2 hours of the game. I will talk about general game structure but avoid any specific story spoilers. I assume that you're familiar with Subnautica in general. If you've never played the OG one and are wondering if you should pick it up before Below Zero, yes please. In my opinion, Below Zero gets more interesting because of the things you learned in the first one. So go and play it and then worry about the second one later. But with that out of the way, let's talk about the game. In Below Zero you explore Sector 0, the Arctic of 4546b, featuring a smaller map, new biomes, fauna and flora. Related to that, one of the biggest differences is the greater emphasis on land exploration this time. To keep the game tense by doing that, they also included a temperature meter. This meter works pretty similar to the oxygen bar, but in general Below Zero feels pretty much the same as Subnautica. They even kept a lot of the crafting recipes and blueprints, as well as adding some new gadgets and gizmos. The new items are for the most part nothing crazy, but for sure a welcome addition to the game. The same goes for the base building. It mostly stays the same, but the additions they made are really nice and add a lot of possibilities to creating your dream base. When it comes to fauna and flora, I was pretty disappointed at first, because they reused a lot of the smaller fish, but as you progress in the game you encounter more and more new creatures. I also want to quickly spotlight the absolute star of Below Zero's fauna, the penguin. They're very adorable, and while the idea of them may not be super innovative, I really like their inclusion. Of course, all these creatures need a fitting place to live. Biomes are varied, but I am not sure how to feel about them overall. There are some outstanding ones that to me even surpass the better biomes of the first game, excluding the Lost River because that place is dope as hell. But on the flip side, some of them feel very bland and lackluster. Nonetheless, Below Zero still manages to keep this thick atmosphere and a genuine sense of wonder, probably in part due to the sound design. It is incredible again. The ambience, the creatures and all the water sounds are just peak performance. If I'm nitpicking, there's one creature, and from the PDA logs I guess it's an intentional choice, but it just sounds way too aggressive and loud for what it is. I also prefer the old PDA voice over the new one.
Ribbon plants contain electrolytic materials that can be used in energy storage.
You have suffered minor head trauma. This is considered an optimal outcome.
Maybe it's just familiarity, but the old one had a certain charm to it that the new one can't beat. Continuing with the audio landscape of this game, the soundtrack is fantastic. Yet again, I personally like the first one more, because nothing can beat Abandoned Ship. But Below Zero has a lot of great tracks, and you will probably start hearing them in my videos. You should totally subscribe, by the way. Also, there's this one part in the game where this song plays. And let me tell you, I almost quit the game right there. I feel like this is the right place to mention that this game can be very scary, at least for me. But I also can't deal with horror games and I really dislike the open ocean. So I believe if your video game diet consists of games like Resident Evil and the occasional indie horror game, I think you should be fine. Same applies for the Reaper Leviathan scarred Subnautica veterans. The general consensus is that Below Zero is less scary than the original, and I agree for the most part. But why do I even play this game if it scares me to shit? Because not only is the exploration so nice, but the game looks beautiful. After I beat it, I went back to record some B-roll footage and damn, just look at this. To me, light is what makes or breaks the game's graphics. I mean, it can make Minecraft go from this to this. And Subnautica absolutely excels in its use of light and shadows. But what I find a bit weird is that they removed the color grading options. The original Subnautica had some different presets you could apply to your game to make it look a certain way. And I personally really enjoyed the filmic look, but they are nowhere to be found in Below Zero. Another graphical downgrade is the result of some gameplay changes. You will spend some more time on land this time than in the first Subnautica, and since it's the Arctic of 4546b, you will mostly see white. So while the actual graphics are the same, being in the snow is just not as visually interesting as being in the alien ocean. And I have to be honest, I don't like the greater focus on land exploration. It is really janky and it takes away from what makes Subnautica special. And while we're on it, holy fuck, I am not sure if I had bad luck, but the weather absolutely sucked and I couldn't see a thing. I got used to hearing
Dangerous weather approaching. Seek shelter.
every 5 minutes. Maybe that's also why I prefer the old PDA voice. But enough about graphics. Let's talk about the story. It is all over the place. Your starting motivation is to find out what happened to someone named Sam and her research, but it quickly branches out in 2 different stories, and one of them is a lot more interesting to me than the other. The other felt very rushed, especially at the end. I do appreciate that Robin, the protagonist, is voiced, but she felt kinda flat at times given the things happening around her. Speaking of voices, like in Subnautica, there are voice logs dotted around the map where you can find out more about the people that have been here before you. There's one in particular that is almost written like a novel. You will know which one I'm talking about when you find it. Like this video, the pacing of the game is a bit weird to me. In the beginning it can be pretty handholdy and it bombards you with different markers to go and check out. But later it completely flips and you're left on your own to find specific points of interest. One of the later objectives is just being described as, yeah, it's pretty deep, lol, go and find it, and you're left on your own to find out where it's supposed to be. I personally used a guide for this, and I think it was the right decision, because I would have probably lost interest before finding the place. So that leaves me with only one more topic to talk about before I give you my conclusion, and it's an annoying one. It's bugs. Subnautica always has been full of bugs. Some of them are funny, like a reefback getting stranded on an island, but there's also some bad ones. In Below Zero I had a bug multiple times where I got stuck in the terrain during a trip on the dry. Combined with a new heat mechanic that meant certain death by freezing. Saving and reloading didn't help, so the only thing I could do was using the console. After finishing the game I wondered why I only completed 2 out of 13 achievements, only to find out that using the console for whatever reason locks you out of all achievements. Now I don't really care about achievements, but me fixing the game's problems with the console and then getting punished for it is pretty stupid. Another bug I had was that the stairs to my base on land kept disappearing, so to enter my base I had to save and reload every time. No idea why that happened. Compared to these, the other bugs I encountered were very minor. Animals swimming through terrain, penguins getting stuck in mid-air, so nothing game breaking, but still some more polish would be nice. Anyway, let me summarize. With most of the game being so close to the original and it being actually smaller in scale, it feels like a DLC, and while it lacks some polish at times and has some downgrades compared to the OG Subnautica, it also features some really nice improvements. It has a greater focus on story this time around, which is neither bad nor good to me. I know I was quite negative during parts of the review, but I actually really enjoyed my time. It has the distinct feeling of Subnautica, the sense of wonder and exploration that is so special and unique. Yes, it's mostly just more of the same, but isn't that great when Subnautica was such a good game? You can expect around 20 to 30 hours for a regular playthrough, or even more if you're into building bases or creating your own objectives. If you didn't like Subnautica, you won't like this. But if you had fun with Subnautica, definitely pick it up and check it out. And that's it for the review, but not for Below Zero content. In about 2 to 3 weeks from now I will release a second video where I take you on a journey to 4546b, giving you the whole Below Zero experience in about 20 minutes. This is for the folks that have finished the game or for everyone that wants to know what happened without the need to play it. I think it's gonna be my best video yet, so make sure to sub for that. If you enjoyed this review, leave me a like or a comment, it greatly helps me out. Also make sure to subscribe to see more videos. If you disagree with me, I'm happy to argue with you down in the comments, just make sure to give a proper spoiler warning if necessary. For everyone that has been watching, thank you and have a great day.